Okay, hello everyone. Again, we are in an intense season of design reviews around the version 13 release, which is coming up soon. And in our second design review of the day, second of three, we are looking at more about video. So let's see, where have we got to so far? We were looking at
I think we wanted to revisit the GUI for the in-notebook player, and we have the people that you asked for last time here, John Foles from the front end, and I forgot who from UI. It was
Christina.
Christina. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So now how do I get a video up to look at?
If you want to open up the video ref page, get the Caminanda sample video we have in example data.
Why is this spinning like crazy? Why was that spinning to open this page?
It looks like that data set from information is being weird.
That sure is. Yeah. Okay, so that needs to be looked at. Okay, here we go. Oh, so it's now default.
Mm-hmm.
So it went full screen. Is that what one wants? That the video opens sort of full width of the notebook?
I think the image size heuristics we use here is the same as image width. It doesn't go beyond the width of the notebook.
By the way, this is, what is this? State before
notebook? That is some debugging thing that we still need to figure out. There is some weird behavior of dynamic module, and that was the easiest way to communicate that with Lou.
Okay, so wait a second. So let me understand this size again. Okay, why are you picking? So this is full width, effectively. Is that correct?
Yes.
But if I'm understanding correctly, if the movie were smaller, I mean, if the frame size were smaller, then it could end up being narrower than the width of the window. It's just that this particular movie happens to be fairly good sized. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. So that seems reasonable to me. How is the size determined from the movie properties? Is it based on points or pixels?
Pixels.
Point. Oh yeah, sorry. Never mind. Never mind me.
What's that?
I was asking whether the movie size was points or pixels.
Well, this is cool. So this is now playing, so I can play multiple movies here. So can I be playing multiple ones at the same time?
Yes. Yes.
In fact, this is much like a demo I gave at the tech conference last year.
Where's the audio coming from for these? Is it superimposed?
I think it should be all three of them. Yep.
Say again?
It should be all three of them.
Playing at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, so two comments here. Ethan is asking, did you fix the frame rate degradation over time problem, i.e. gets choppier or slower over long times? That must have been a beta problem. Anybody know?
It might have been a problem with the previous GUI that was using the kernel to do the decoding. So hopefully this will not show that.
Okay.
This is a completely different backend for feeding frames to the notebook.
This is using library link support in the front end.
Okay. Ethan has a can he take multiple videos, synchronize, put them in a grid, synchronize them, and export the resulting thing?
Well, there is a very nice function that you can see in the video creation section that we're proposing. It's called video grid.
Yeah, exactly.
It does exactly that.
Video grid.
Okay, wonderful. All right, okay. All right, let's finish off on our UI discussion. Okay, So if I take this, oops, no resize.
No,
But
the
that's
resize is the lack of resize depends on the fact that this is using template box, which kind of prevents using the usual orange frame with the draggy thingy that is present in graphics and in image. There might be a way around that, but it will not.
John,
look
can
like
you speak to that, please?
Yes, it can be done. You just have to know how to do it. And I thought that had been communicated in a way that you understood, but if not, I'm happy to follow up on
I
that.
know how to do it with Paintbox, but it will not look like the resizing in image as far as I understood from what Lou said to me.
Okay.
Wait a second. I just want to confirm what the behavior should be. You click here in the image, what's supposed to happen? Then you're supposed to get the resize handles up. Yes?
Well, so that's a good question. I mean, do we want it to be treated as a traditional selection that might have implications for, or that might suggest certain user interface things that maybe aren't possible?
Well, what else would a click here do?
Well, so maybe the selection that should be showing should be around, for example, should be around not the image, but the entire player.
I don't think so. I think this should be, maybe we have other cases of that. Given the image size, the player bar should adapt itself to the image size.
It does now. If you make your notebook narrower, you can see that behavior.
Nice. Okay, and if I make it wider, it maxes out at the raw pixel size of the video. Is that correct?
Correct.
But so, for example, what happens if you if you click on it with a selection and you press backspace or delete? Do you presumably the whole player object would be deleted, not like deleting.
What just happened? I hit backspace. What happened? Help.
I think that's selected now, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
then it went away. So that took 2 clicks to make it go away.
Right. That's not uncommon for this type of construct. Two backspaces, which you mean. But if you click on it and the click makes a selection, and then you're expecting backspace to delete it, I would sort of expect the selection to encompass everything that's going to be deleted, which includes.
There's another thing bar. in the other interface, which doesn't have a scroll bar. Kind of we want to use click to pause and play, right?
That's what we do now. And in fact, just before the meeting, Carlo and I were discussing whether this appearance as well should do that. It's really convenient to be able to click somewhere on the image to play and pause.
Well, and so that's another good question, is if clicking is playing and pausing, then should it be selecting?
Well, I know, but I think people are going to want to resize this image. I think that's going to be a pretty common thing.
Should it have a frame around it that you can grab and resize, or?
Possibly.
What Carlo was experimenting with this morning was a resize area, just like we have next to some other things.
So when you hover over it, there could be this frame that shows up that you kind of click on and can resize.
Actually, on hover, you could get a frame that you can then go and select.
That kind of thing, yeah.
What could be the whole thing?
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But then what's the indication when you click inside? Wait, how do I get the other display type?
Right click on switch to minimal appearance.
Those are obviously not the final names.
Those texts are going to be updated.
I think you should call it in-notebook.
I mean, we do have also other GUIs. Well, I guess maybe we'll have to discuss this if we drop the ones that look like this, but go through the kernel. I guess they can be dropped.
Why would you want that?
Yeah, no, probably don't.
Yeah, we discussed it, Carlo, internally. We said with some internal flag, we can switch to that other backend we had before, but not
Okay.
from the GUI.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about that.
Okay. So, I mean, we could just say switch to minimal appearance, switch to, what's the difference in basic and minimal? What's the non-basic?
Both of those are going to be in Notebook. The other one would be a thumbnail, which we had before. I think we should be able to still switch back to that as well. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
But both of
Then-
these, basic and minimal, are going to be in Notebook. And we discussed an advanced could have things for multiple position selection and things like that. So that's still going to be something for future.
Okay, but then in the video wrapper, there's an appearance option which allows you, which has these different string names for the different appearances. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so it's thumbnail. Well, I'm about to find out what minimal is.
There is some weirdness on the sizing of that button. It should not be that tiny.
What should we call this one? Those two versus player or minimal? Thumbnail, player, minimal.
You're calling this one that we call basic player?
Yeah, because it has a player in it.
It has a scroll bar. I mean,
What is that thing called? I thought that was called a. What is that called?
it enables.
But it has a name. Those things have a name.
Yeah, they do.
What is it?
I mean, I might refer to it as a control bar.
I haven't seen that.
Some kind of track or something.
Okay, there's also the question being raised on our live stream about being able to embed the video in the notebook, as in embed the data for the video in the notebook, which it isn't right now, right?
Right.
No.
So that's the same thing that we have with data set and all kinds of other things. The ability to actually-
Sort of. I think this is starting to straddle another issue, which is sort of assets.
I know, but one of the things that we know we want to do, right? Because, with data set, right, it's a question of, do you store the whole thing in the notebook? And you have an option if it's big, whether you want to do that or not. Same thing should happen with video. Scrubber, yes, that's what I've seen that somebody on live stream K is saying that this thing is a scrubber. Why didn't it change? Wait, why didn't it change? That little creature is, why hasn't it changed?
Oh, that is a bug.
Okay. What do you mean it's a bug? The little creature is.
Oh, you see the printout that you were seeing in the messages window, that is the root of this bug. Changing the appearance messes somehow.
Okay, this is the state.
With something. I do not know exactly the details, but I will have to, yeah.
I'm sure that you can fix it for now by just reevaluating the input.
Okay, fine.
Yep.
Okay, but so, okay. First point is, the graphic appearance of this seems pretty good to me. What do other people think? Is this
there be a
our
full screen?
standard for audio? Sorry, but that's the time it is so far, and that's the total time, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
But so if I do audio capture, for example, hello, I'm capturing. What happened there? See that little circle is broken there? Come on. See that circle being broken?
Yep.
I do see it. I hadn't seen it before.
Okay. All right, so that doesn't have in the audio player now, first of all, is that blue the same as that blue? Yes. Oh, I see. So there, look what you're doing.
Yeah, the reason is that typically we don't have a whole lot more to show in the audio. So we wanted that object to be smaller.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying that you're putting the, in gray, those times as footnotes, basically, to the slider.
Yep.
So I'm suggesting maybe they should be in gray here. What do you think?
Oh, just for the color?
Maybe.
You mean,
I don't
or the
know.
position as well?
Okay. Christina is commenting, maybe that's the Christina who's actually here, who could use audio, voice. Is
Hello?
commenting, what about a full screen option? Guys?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
that
hear you,
seems
Christina.
standard. Okay.
I am not exactly sure how that would work out with the notebook. Would the notebook become full screen?
No, I think it should be more open in system player, which in this case didn't work. That's what I would do. I wouldn't have it be the notebook. I don't think the notebook.
I'm
Yeah.
tending to agree.
Perfect. That was my thought as well.
Okay, so it's based. Why is open in system player is just dead right now?
The main thing is that you want open in system player. You want to, of course, you want to stop the notebook movie from playing and make sure open in system player has all of the same attributes that, you know, position and that sort of thing that is currently in the notebook version of the player.
That's interesting. I'll have to figure out how to do that, because at the moment I don't think I have any idea. Because I assume it is very player dependent. For example, if one has VLC instead of whatever the operating system is offering.
Okay. Okay. I didn't realize that you were going to be using a not our software, but potentially somebody else's software.
I don't think we
Yeah,
can.
that's
Can
what
we use
open
ours?
is. Sorry.
Well, so 4 on our live stream is saying, can you pop out the video, which is essentially open in system player, or is it not? Is there a difference between open in our own popped out player versus open in the system player?
Oh, we do not have our own popped out player.
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand, but now I do.
Okay, fine. So it's just the system player.
Yeah.
Okay, but so we can still say full screen. It will be full screen in the system player, right? So when you exit the full screen, it's actually pretty good behavior as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I hate these things that leave you in some weird full screen mode. If you exit full screen, then you would get back to a small system player, which you can then close, and then you're back to the notebook that the thing came from, right?
Yes, that seems correct.
But the notebook wouldn't be updated with anything that you did in the system player.
Correct.
So if you
That's
play,
life for now.
yeah, okay.
I mean, one day we might have our own standalone player, but let's not worry about that yet. Okay, so this would have a full screen. There would be a full screen button as well here, correct?
I think that's.
Or
what's
should there
being
be a
proposed.
pop out? Aren't these incredibly standard things in player controls, both full screen and pop out?
Well, I mean, but the problem is that full screen, of course, isn't just full screen. It's open in system player, and so do we want to do exactly the standard thing?
I would. We could have a little curlicue on the icon to indicate it's opening in a different player. Yeah, I think we should do it. We should have something which looks colorably like the standard icons. Okay, but have we resolved the question of what to do? Okay, if on hover we bring up the controls, then we cannot also have the controls. I mean, it will be super annoying every time you're going to stop or pause the movie, that it also is bringing up all this regalia around the side to resize. I mean, most people don't have the possibility of resizing a movie, right? That's a somewhat unique thing to us.
I think you do get a choice between a few standard sizes in other players.
Right, well, why don't we show off the fact that we have better than that?
Yeah, QuickTime, which you had as your default player, however, does, for instance, allow for resizing easily.
Yeah, VLC as well.
Yeah, VLC too.
How do they resize? Do they just resize the window?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
drag.
Okay, fine, but we have an outer window. So the whole point is we have a window and window situation. Right, so the question is, what do you do to resize the inner window? Okay, so
I agree with you that any hover showing all of those control appearances is odd, but
Yeah.
maybe again we can just live with one on one of the four corners.
no, that'll be even more confusing. Look, the point is, in notebooks, people are used to the idea that you click an image to resize it. I mean, that's what all of these images do. It's what we've consistently done on all other images.
But that means that clicking an image is going to give it a selected appearance as well. That could be considered annoying if all you were trying to do was pause or unpause the movie.
I know that. So that's a bad thing. But let me point out something else here. Okay, so if I do a manipulate here, okay, I have a resize there. So this is, somebody was commenting that you shouldn't, now if I do a resize there and I do, oh my gosh, I can delete that? Really? Really? How did that work? What just happened there? That I deleted the innards of the manipulate.
Yeah, well, I suspect this because the innards of the manipulate didn't depend on X. That would be my guess.
Let's just confirm that, because that's really weird that I could do that. Nope. Oh my gosh. And then when I click, it comes back.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I meant.
Okay. Oh, I see, because the other one didn't, the dynamic wasn't triggering.
Yeah.
That's very weird. Okay, but the main point here is this thing.
And of course, I mean, this is the essential problem, right? Okay, so now if you wrap deploy around that, you won't be able to accidentally delete it, but you also can't resize it.
Yeah, I get it. By the way, one thing UX-wise, that plus sign should probably in modern times be a ... shouldn't it? Or maybe not. No, it's a plus sign.
No, it's an opener.
Okay. It's also, for some reason, it's slightly offset. But okay, so what are we doing here? By the way, is Jeremy here?
He's
No.
not.
No.
But we were going to review the graphic design of this also.
I can get him.
We could. I think it's not bad what the graphic design that's here, but okay. So we still haven't resolved this question about what happens when you click. Whether in the scrubber view, whether clicking on the video itself, this is my problem for not watching enough videos online, or at all, in fact. How familiar is it? I mean, so if this video is really going to start with a click, obviously the mouse appearance has to change. Yes?
I don't think so.
No.
What do you expect it to do, guys? Because I don't know. What do you expect a generic video to do if you click it?
Player pause.
Player pause.
Player pause, yeah.
And it's indicated how? It's indicated by the pause button sitting in the middle after you clicked it.
Right.
Okay, but notice that this doesn't have a pause button, pause thing in the middle because it has it in the scrubber.
Just go to
Yeah.
YouTube and do it.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Just go to YouTube and do it, and you'll see it kind of like ghosts in and ghosts out
Or-
when you.
Our minimal GUI is the same as well. You do see a pause button.
I know.
Or play button. Yep.
Wow, I hate to even imagine what kind of ads show up on. What is this?
You could do it even on the ad. You could just click on the. Oh, okay. But yeah, just click on the video. See,
Oh. Okay.
but it's really nice because you don't have to go and search for this minute little point in the corner.
Yeah, okay, I get it. I just wonder what algorithm causes sawmill equipment to be the top ad.
Maybe it's regional. I don't know.
What's that?
It might be regional.
Well, I guess there are trees around here.
Well, like all internet advertising, it's incredibly stupid until suddenly it turns incredibly scary.
Right. Okay. Okay, so RBS is commenting that spacebar also pauses the video. And presumably we will have that too, or what? No, we won't have that.
No.
because Spacebar does something else for us.
No, yeah, because you could be typing.
Right. While you're watching the video, you could be typing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so clicking on the video. Okay, so what you're proposing is that, well, maybe it has to have a resize handle somewhere. And that's the other possibility, is some kind of little resize handle. Comments, guys. I
That's
know
what
other
I've been
people-
saying. Yes.
The point is that because we're resampling these videos and because we have a different environment than other people's environments. All right, well, so do we have a design for a resize handle?
I think it's a very standard 3 diagonals at the bottom right.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a whole bunch of comments and somebody's asking, how do I put ads in the video? No, that's not what we're signing up for. But I still want to address this question about keeping the assets in the notebook. Do we have a mechanism to do that?
No.
Okay, I think we should. How big are these videos? How big is this Caminanda's video, for example?
5 meg?
How much?
5 megs, I think, Carlo.
So that will be easy to keep in the notebook. So otherwise, when somebody sends somebody a notebook with a video,
Keep in mind that this was handcrafted for example data. It's really a toy example. People playing with real videos that they have, we're talking about much larger assets.
okay, so what do we think in reality? Somebody sends somebody a notebook and it has a video in it. Where's that video going to be coming from? Is it going to be coming from our cloud? Where's it going to be coming from?
Yeah, if
I
you want to
guess-
share, I mean, this is a problem that we haven't addressed because the problem needs to be bigger, more urgent because several people is going to be involved in solving it. It needs to be somewhere where you can point to it, like in the cloud, and it needs to be relinked to where those assets live.
Yes, but so now look, if I want to embed a YouTube video in here, how do I do it? Can I do that?
No, you cannot do that because you cannot access it except from YouTube because of licensing.
I've only seen one software package which can pull down YouTube videos, and they're in a constant race with YouTube. Basically, YouTube keeps changing things, and they keep changing to update, and the whole thing is kind of, there's dubious legality around it.
It
Okay,
had been
on a
banned
browser,
from
in a
GitHub as
browser,
well.
you can do that, right? Our embedded service thing does.
Absolutely, yes.
So the
But then
point
just
is,
has the HTML player pointing to the correct URL.
so if one day we had a WebKit embedded HTML inside notebooks, we
Yeah,
could.
that would be fine. But only for playing, not for accessing the frames, is what I'm saying. We cannot download it in any way.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, which means all your computational stuff is out the window.
Correct.
Now it's just a dead player.
Right. But it still might be useful to people. Okay, question. What, let me see. So where else, I mean, is it realistic for these videos to come from the cloud? Or is it a bandwidth problem? I mean, because clearly services like YouTube, a former student of mine was deeply involved, and I may have even run the thing that was figuring out all of the encoding, flow rate, etc. type stuff. But that's a complicated thing, and we're not going to solve that problem for our cloud, for example. Right? Can you respond? I'm asking, how are we supposed to do this? Somebody tries to send a notebook with a video in it. Where do they put the video?
So my immediate reaction, which is a very clunky thing, obviously, is either attach in the same email and give a relative file path, or send a link to a cloud and a URL download of that link.
I think that the practical thing to know.
Those are
gonna
obviously
work.
the stupid
No,
solutions.
hold on. I think that the two scenarios is basically the same, but you kind of need, if you send a directory with a notebook and the video assets, and they link to them relative
Nobody's
to
sending a video by email. It's too big.
Right,
Or-
right. The scenario of attaching the video, same thing with attaching a notebook. I mean, it's just, a tiny size is fine, but anything more than 10 megabytes, or on some platforms even smaller, you're going to run into real problems.
Right.
Yeah. But the question is, where do you put that package of bits?
Exactly.
It can be it
Right.
could be your your
Right,
shared
the point
file
that I'm
system.
making is we can't stream it from our cloud. We could have people download it from there, but I don't think it's going to work to stream it from there, is it?
Well, there's various improvements that we made to streaming without even looking at our server capacity.
Yeah.
Because
one thing that we do so far with the thumbnail player, or with the only player we have for videos that are not local, is the thumbnail player, and we open that video in a browser now. So we don't even attempt to stream in Notebook any remote asset.
Okay, but so you're saying if I have a remote thing, and that could even be a YouTube video because it's just going to a browser, right? Is that correct?
No, because we cannot do any computation on it, right? So the whole idea of having a video of it.
No, but I understand, but it doesn't matter. If somebody just wants a decorative video, it can be coming from YouTube or wherever else. If it is going to be open in a browser, that's all just fine.
Well, but then is it a video object anymore? I mean, a video object implies computation.
Well, it says, I'm sorry, I can't do that. But we shouldn't stop people from having decorative videos just because they're things we can't do with decorative.
But does that, but is it a video object?
I think so, yes. It just says it's a video object that doesn't have access to those things. Okay, I just want to go through again, okay?
In terms of storage and distribution, why wouldn't we promote our cloud?
I just won't work. It won't work. It's a complicated piece of infrastructure to stream videos,
Well,
So-
I'm not talking about
Notice
streaming.
there are
I'm just
companies
talking
that
about
just do that.
distributing the download, the import case. Why not?
No, that's fine, but
Okay.
So
streaming is not fine.
So possibly a third option, I don't know how interesting this is, but a third option might be to support playing a file that's only been partially downloaded while it's still downloading.
We're
possibly.
definitely working on that. There is actually, hopefully for 13, part of this will be in.
But, you know, downloading a 30 gigabyte file without streaming from the cloud is complicated. I mean, it's going to take a while. It's not clear what the use case is for that. And the question is, should that happen in the background when you open the notebook? Or should you be explicitly downloading that asset and then having the notebook point to that asset? You see what I'm saying?
In more cases, that's also not permissible unless it's on our servers, it is. But for general URLs, downloading a lot of times is not available, while streaming is available.
Yeah, but not streaming into our player, only streaming to a browser.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying, even if it's on our cloud, somebody's got a 1 gigabyte video, they want to send somebody the notebook, and they want to trail along with the notebook, the video, and the video is in our cloud. So it's fully downloadable, or it's in some other place, you know, where it's fully downloadable. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Just a blob of bits downloadable from the web. The question is, do we want that to happen? So somebody opens the notebook. It's just like, you know, John is obsessed with the dynamic content stuff and putting up warnings for that. Do you put a warning when it says, opening this notebook is going to cause a 10 gigabyte file to be downloaded to your computer? Do you understand the scenario?
So that is something that I do think that we should develop.
No, but I want to just understand, John and other people, explain that scenario. Does that scenario make sense? You open a notebook, and then in the background, some file referenced by that notebook is downloaded. Does that make sense?
I think that if we're downloading something big, there is some sense to telegraphing that. I mean, you know, we're back in a day and age where connections might be metered again. You know, sometimes my internet connection is through my cell phone, and you know, and there are multiple reasons why I might be concerned about that. One is
okay, fine. You might be concerned, but I want to know.
One is a data limit. The other is it might run the battery out on my cell phone.
Yeah, I get it. But I mean, so the question is, but is that a basic workflow that we think we want to support? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think so, and I think there's more than one reason for that. I think
Okay,
audio and video
represent videos. It will be done for data and iconized things and so on.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, fine. Okay,
we had that discussion, you know, while, you know, during audio, and it had been discussed prior to that.
I want to come back to the different kinds of videos. You know, one thing is the grand feature film. Okay, a big multi-10 gigabyte object.
Sure.
Okay? Another is the scientific video that is, you know, the splash that's happening, and you know, it's a few second video, and it's, you know, it's scientific, it's small, it's 20 megabytes, whatever, right? And you're going to be able to take it apart frame by frame, do whatever you want to it, etc. I would think that with these scientific videos, being able to store it in the notebook is really worthwhile. For the feature films, it's stupid and irrelevant. Am I making sense?
But then what happens if you have like lots of them in a notebook, even if
then
they're not
out of luck? Then it's too big.
So I agree that in principle, it makes sense to embed things in a notebook, but it's, you know, it's sort of the, you know, if you push it too hard, things are going to start toppling over.
I understand that. And everybody knows that, because at the file size, you know, nobody is expecting that a 10 gigabyte notebook makes a lot of sense.
Well, there are two issues here. One is, of is that the notebook is going to balloon a bit faster than the actual file size. It's probably something. It's going to be about maybe 15 or 20% larger by encoding it directly in the notebook. The other is that we have a very unfortunate 2 GB limit on notebook file sizes right now. It's things are going to start.
Fixed that.
No, I don't know why you think we fixed it. We haven't done any work on it at all.
Because we went to 64-bit.
Yeah, I thought we'd gone to 64-bit UI stuff.
Yeah, the problem is that the problem is that the functions that we use for accessing files are using 32-bit values. These are the standard C library type things. They're using 32-bit values, and it's a significant effort to rewrite these things.
I don't think that's the most critical thing right now. I think the multi-gigabyte notebook is a thing for the future. Well, okay, so
but do we need something that's kind of like a notebook project or?
Yes, exactly, and something which definitely is on my roadmap. So first of all, as Roger says, the notion of assets and formalizing these things, and second of all, the notion of a compound notebook file. So combine those two things. Now you can have a compound notebook file which includes its own assets.
I think that would be, if we streamline the workflows around that, it will be quite useful for not only video. I mean, for a whole host of other.
Yes, absolutely, totally agreed.
Okay, let's review again this stuff. Okay, so and we've got a whole bunch of comments on our live stream.
So video is an example of big data.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Fine. I'm sort of retracting the importance of this store and notebook, although I think it is desirable. But we understand how we would do it, right? We understand what
and by the way, we could solve the asset and compound notebook problem without even fixing the 2 GB problem, because the notebooks in a the archive could be bigger than 2 GB.
Yeah, I understand. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm simply asking the store and notebook UI, right? Do we understand what that would look like? Right, so we've agreed there are 2 additional buttons here, which are the pop out and full screen, right?
Well, one difference from the other store and notebook UIs is that this one would have to have a progress bar. Because even under the most efficient of circumstances, the process of grabbing the data to store it could be time consuming.
What do the error conditions look like? Hold on. What do the error conditions look like when the file is not found?
It will just show the thumbnail GUI.
Okay, I don't think that's adequate. I think you need some kind of browser to go find the file or something. Some easy way to get to that. Did you understand what I'm saying?
To reattach to a different file?
Yes, potentially. I mean, what's going to happen all the time is somebody's going to send me this notebook. I'm not going to have the backing video. Then I'm going to have to go somehow, I say, oh, please send me the video. Oh, I'm going to put it here. Or, oh, you can go to this Dropbox link or whatever else. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm guessing, though, that will mostly happen in the input cell rather than modifying the GUI.
What do you mean by the input cell? I mean,
yeah, the more practical thing would be to change the path in the input cell rather than relinking the output cell.
I see what you're saying. You mean here?
Yes.
How would that happen? I mean, what's going to happen is this is going to be an error.
Yeah. Once you
so what does that error say? If I put in there, okay, if I say something like, if I just say this. Okay.
No, this is not the case you explained. We have a video GUI, but then when somebody sends it to you, the asset is missing. So you would see a thumbnail like what you see on the right notebook with the player. Instead of that play, there is an X on it.
Okay, look, guys, look, we've already had this mistake, right? In manipulate, for example, right? When manipulate doesn't have save definitions to true, and you send a manipulate, what does it look like? John?
Yep. Sorry, I wandered out of headset range. What was the question?
What does a manipulate look like when you reopen a notebook without save definitions to true and the manipulate data isn't there?
It's going to look exactly like you evaluated it. If it emits messages, then it's going to ping box.
Okay, but so the case here is, in the notebook, there was the frame of a video player, but the video behind it wasn't found. What should it do? Do you understand my question?
Yeah, I understand the question.
Okay, so let's have an answer. And the answer is not. It's going to look like this, right? This is a great big video player. And presumably you want a great big video player with some kind of X saying you can't find the video. Is that right? Carlo, can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the small player with the big X is inappropriate.
So this big player is suddenly going to turn into a small player with an X.
Correct. My main point is that if you want to fix things and if you want to do anything with the things you fix, you will have to fix that input cell.
I mean, keep in mind.
Go ahead.
Keep in mind, we don't even know how big the player is supposed to be.
If we don't have the asset.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. But it's a different display type, right? You can't do that. You can't change the display type. No, you can't do that because you're changing that state. You've got to have some video not found default state for all the player types. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
But also, I could do that video that generated coming unders there. Let's say that I deleted the input. That could still play, right?
Yes.
If the file is there, yes.
But then I send it to you, and let's say there was a local file on my system, and you don't have it. Then there is no input.
Yeah. Right. Well, which is a good reason to have the possibility of having a browser to go re-find the file there. You see what I'm saying? Rather than a kernel reevaluation.
Yeah, but even if you redo the thing and you click in your file browser and now the GUI suddenly works, then just the GUI works, not all of the code that relies on the definition of that
Doesn't
video.
matter. Doesn't matter. I think you guys are not understanding the point. People are not going to just use this to do scientific analysis of videos. People are going to use this to just put videos as decoration.
Yes.
I see it. We have had that with images, right? A lot of times images are a part of a slideshow or, as you said, a decoration. But a lot of the times it's the actual data that needs to be processed.
Yeah, well, both things happen.
Yep.
But so don't just assume that the only videos of interest are ones but I don't even understand. I don't even understand that. I mean, I could take that video, once I've reconnected the video, right? I could take it and use it as input somewhere.
Yes, that is correct.
Right. So clearly what we have to do is, if the video is not found, there needs to be a default appearance for this that makes it clear the video is not found, together with a search for a new video. You see what I'm saying?
Connect to the resource, rather.
Well, no, I mean, it's just a browser. If all we can deal with is local videos, right? If all we can deal with at the stage of the video player is things in a local file, then all you should have is a browser thing for going to your local file system.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, we call it a file browser for anything that file completes.
That's fine, but then that's what that should be.
Something like that.
Make sense? Yep. Carlo, does that make sense to you?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm just going to go over some of these other comments, but did anybody else have any other comment before we go on here? Nope. Okay. Okay. Why don't the video controls look like other attached cell ribbons? Asks Ethan.
Okay, so other attached cell ribbons are selection based. You select it, it's there. You remove the selection, it's gone.
Okay, that's a
So
reasonable answer.
yeah, in this case, I think depending on your player type, you probably or you might very well want it around permanently.
Okay, so did Jeremy join us here?
No, he
Jeremy?
did not. We have made attempts and we texted him, and so
Okay, so
hopefully he
look,
will.
guys, this is just not adequate. Look at this thing. See that arrow there? See that it's a different shape than that arrow there? Come on.
We have it on our plan to make audio and video players more similar, just that we didn't have any time to spend on audio
I mean, this is kind of
release.
lame. I mean, look, this stupid speaker is a different shape than this one. You've got to fix stuff like that.
I don't disagree at all, but touching GUIs then require testing GUIs. Again,
I'm aware. That's what we signed up for.
I mean,
So
for what
let's make sure we do it.
For what it's worth, I think the video one looks better. I think
I do too.
Yeah, that is the more recent one, and those changes we are planning to put to the audio one.
Okay, so we
Once
should
we
do
get
it.
time
Okay,
and
I'm just saying, for goodness sake, let's get that consistency and get that review done as I had asked last time, please.
mm-hmm.
I think you're going to end up having to do that without me, so please do it. Question from Option. Can we control the scroll value programmatically in here? The answer is yes,
No.
right?
Yes.
If in this video, what do I say here to control the scroll?
No, we cannot control the scroll value of the GUI programmatically.
Why not?
The
think
video
you-
stream set of functions allow for that, but not the video GUI.
Sorry, I didn't understand that. If you evaluate this video with some option, could you not set this to be that value?
No. We
Because
don't
each
have that.
video
It-
can
For
have
example, all our
multiple-
other controls like manipulate, you can do that.
Yeah, I see value in doing that. But I think, Carlo, that goes back to our discussion earlier that we need to store the position in a video object.
Hell
yeah,
yes.
what the input form is of this GUI that you see.
Well, that's a good question in its own right, isn't it?
Yep. And that's the reason why we are not storing the position there.
Well, what do you mean it's the reason why you're not? I mean, I don't understand that. Why is it not stored there? It could perfectly well be stored there. What's the reason to not store it there?
So the main reason is that we want to be the video object to be the thing that lives in kernel, and then GUIs can be different instantiations of the same video object. So you could see they could have independent positions, but we want all of those instances to map to the same video object in kernel.
Oh, no, but that's not a good explanation. Look, you've got a sound volume here. Are you telling me that the sound volumes of all things in a grid are synchronized? No, they're not.
They
So
are
if
not.
you've got sound volume, you can also have video position.
I tend to agree with you. I would be hesitant adding it right away in this release, but apart from that, I do get why this might be of interest.
Right. I mean, to me, that would be exactly what you might want to do. You might want to have something where you have a video grid and every video is starting at a different place, for example.
Well, and speaking of sound, one might want to programmatically control the volume as well.
Which one can do right here. Right?
No. Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, presumably that's a sound volume option for this. Yes. Carlo, is that
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I just don't understand the comment about kernels and anything else. I don't understand that comment. This is a video
So
object.
if you you will not like this probably, but if you change that sound volume in the GUI, I do not think that changes the input form of the kernel representation of that GUI.
Same for appearance, right?
Correct.
The appearance still looks as automatic in the input form.
But why? 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 I don't understand. That's not how the whole system works.
It could. I honestly don't see, Carlo, any problem with that.
Yeah, I
Us
agree.
storing
This
things
was just the
explicit.
initial design. Evidently, was not done correctly. We will need to adapt some things like how equality of videos, for example, is computed.
Yeah.
It's straightforward enough, but yeah.
One related question, minor, is that do we want equal and same queue to return true if these GUI related options are not the same? Which I would say yes.
No.
No.
No. Same queue and equal. Look at the whole thing. Two videos set at different starting points are different.
For instance, I think image equal is forgiving if the display size, being the image size option, is different from image 1 to image 2. Because
Yes,
all
but
of
it
the
isn't- but
content
it's
is
not
the same.
if the metadata for the image is different, right?
Correct. Correct.
Right.
Now I'm saying, is this considered to be display controls and we should be forgiving if they're not the same? Or are they considered to be actual data or metadata?
I think they're two different cases. I think there's a case. Okay. I see. So the issue is, right. I mean, so what does an animator do? What does animate do with respect to that? John?
With respect to what again?
The stuff we were talking about. Storing, look.
Oh, I don't, don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, so if I take this object here and I say / input form. Yeah, there we've got, there it's stored the value, right? And has it stored the fact that it's not playing right now?
I'm not sure that it has.
Okay, so guys, you got to look at this together, okay? And see how each one of these works. That makes sense?
Yep.
I also think the fact that we don't even know for the animator means it's not that important what this does initially. Okay. Ethan asks for video effect.
Video frame map can do anything of that sort.
Yeah.
More of these things should be coming.
It is very nice to see that people expect us to do. Ethan is asking, stitching videos together, is there a stitching for spherical images and video? I don't think so. Image registration and tracking is showing its age.
That's in the next chunk of function updates in your notebook, and more is going to be coming later.
Okay,
yes, fine. It's aged.
Okay. Cells. Various comments here. Okay, there are comments about fast forward and fast backward in the video player. You know, the I don't know, pretty standard controls that go faster, slower, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Speed it up, slow it down, those kinds of things. What do we have for that?
We don't have anything yet. Again, I think those could be a part of a more advanced GUI.
Okay, and they could also be accessed through the ... button.
Sure.
That would be a kind of odd place to put them.
Yeah, it would be.
Either there or in other settings.
Well, yes, but I mean, either that or we've got to have yet another icon that indicates go to the more advanced, you know, controls. Right?
And in other players, you can usually fast forward and fast backward from sideways scrolling.
You mean like this?
Well, like when you hover over a video and you use two fingers.
Double clicks?
No, you know when you like sideways scroll, what do you, horizontal scrolling with fingers? What do you call that? Like on the magic mouse pad?
Slide left or right?
Yeah, when you slide, I don't know.
it
It
doesn't
scrubs through
seem-
the video.
It doesn't seem to work in YouTube. It works on like
It works on
VLC or
QuickTime
system
and
players. Yep.
yeah, I don't know. Just mentioning.
But it doesn't, yeah. Okay. So, okay, so that's something for the future, is worrying about faster, slower speeds. Ethan is suggesting adding larger public domain movies into example data.
We do have some of those. Well, still not big, but we are starting to put them in resource
We should put some of the
data.
famous scientific videos that, you know, I think
There is more coming in resource data, and on the plan is web video search, if that's going to be good enough.
Yeah, there's people commenting on the cloud opening stuff. Sandra is commenting that scientific videos are often very big because they don't have compression. That's a good point, because you don't want to miss something.
I was also comment on that. I think a lot of the time scientific video tend to be longer too.
Yeah,
Well,
fine.
I
Okay,
guess,
so-
yeah, you'll find longer ones in both scenarios.
Okay. Sandra is commenting. Let's see. Do what Adobe Illustrator, InDesign, and so on, where assets are linked to the document. Yes, that's what we're planning. Right. Yeah, we're planning this kind of asset bundle, asset linking type stuff. Okay, and Sandra's commenting that relinking is commonly found in things like the Adobe products when assets cannot be found.
Although there are definitely bad patterns around here that we want to try to avoid if we can.
Oh, I know. I've seen some horrible ones. Just completely crazy loops you get into and things.
The Adobe stuff doesn't bundle, but it does collect. So when you save, you could collect the associated files, which might be useful. Different than kind of stored into some zip or whatever.
That's what I
multi-file.
wanted us to do, you know, a pass. I mean, it's too late for this release, but that's what I think is useful. Let's say that you're going to upload it. You want it with all its assets and properly relinked.
Mhm.
Right, that makes sense. Right. Context of player GUI. I don't think we can do that. Yeah. Ethan's talking about equalizer. What is an equal? I don't know that. You mean for sound levels?
Yes, probably. I mean, the equalizer has a very specific meaning in audio. That's probably not what he means.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's. Okay. I think this was our segment. Is there anything more to say about the video player?
Oh, we'll come back to it, I'm sure.
Okay. All right. Fine. Let's keep going then on the other items. Here.
Should we let go of John and Christina then?
I think so. Unless is there anything else for them here? Well, wait a minute. Fix recording. Jeremy should stay for video grid and some things like this. Let's see. Okay, we had just started on these here, these video creation things, right? And that definitely needs Jeremy.
Yes.
Okay, fine. What was the thing with video recording with multiple screens on? What is that? What is video record?
And no video record. I mean, I think it was a video grid that we're talking about. Sort of having.
I know, but what does video record? How can I record video from my? Is that?
Yeah, that's the way to record from your webcam or the screen. That's the programmatic way, not the GUI-based one. And that multiple screen on Windows was an issue we have in 12.3.
So wait a minute. If I say video record,
It could be a string, screen, which would start recording from your screen.
Whatever the front end thinks that your first screen
okay, but
is.
what happens if I want to record from my webcam?
You have to say $default imaging device. Or you can do $imaging devices and pick the right one that you want to record from.
Let's say I do this here. Okay.
So this is the handle to
stop?
the recording.
How do I
You would say-
You can do video stop, and that should do.
Okay.
So now you construct a video from that handle that you have in out 15. So you just do video of that.
How do I just get what's the analog of audio capture?
We
don't
don't
have
have
it.
GUI based.
We planned it for 13.1.
Yeah.
It's tentatively planned.
Okay, so how do I get this video here?
You construct just video of out 15.
Okay.
Hmm.
What?
What?
So there is some issue with the recording that probably comes out of prototype.
Okay, but if I could do that, the video stream, I could say video frame list, and I would be.
Yeah, that would be a normal video.
So this is a pretty Neanderthal video recording setup. So
Yeah, this is like the programmatic way of doing it. Yes, very basic and low level.
Also, Carlo, that should also be an MP4. We switched to MP4 for most other things.
But let me comment on the
Yes.
programmatic thing. If you do this remotely on a computer and it brings up that authentication dialog, what's going to happen? I mean, if I did this, I don't know, maybe that's specific to like the Mac operating system or something.
I think it might be, but yeah, I'm not sure what.
So if
would
I
happen in
had
that
a Raspberry
situation.
Pi with a camera on it, what would happen here?
I would assume you would have to give permission to Wolfram language to access the camera in some
But
way.
how
I
would
do
you
not
do
know.
that if the thing is just running on Linux, for example?
I don't know. We'll have to
We
test
better
it.
find that out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for example, here, if I say video grid, so let's say I take my so let's say I've got a table, a 3x3 grid of those guys. Why is this? Okay, fine. And now I say video grid of this. Is that right?
Yep.
Yes.
But it's got to know where. My gosh, what is this doing? This is not a quick operation. What is it going to do? Is it going to, and how is it going to arrange that grid? What kind of framing is it going to put in the
It
grid?
is doing the same thing in this case, since you gave it an actual matrix as image assemble.
Yes.
I see,
you
I see,
gave
I
it
see.
the
So
structure.
It's really the raw images. So it's going to be a lot of these little critters running around.
Yeah, and this slowness that you see is the encoding and decoding that is expensive.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. So do you have an option in video grid, like in grid, to put separators in?
We do not have separators. You could
We have
regulate the
spacings.
spacings and control the background.
Oh, well, that's fine. I mean, but in grid, there's a frame arrow all and a frame, those things. That
No,
might be a nice thing to have here. And there's a frame style already available from grid.
Yeah. So we followed more the precedent of image compose and image assemble rather than grid.
I know, but this is called grid, so
but yeah.
you should do. I would use frame and frame style as well as spacings. I think both are useful.
I think we're well beyond what Christina and I are needed for, right?
Yes, we are now.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Thank you.
Guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, well, we'll see what this does. Okay, video overlay. I see. Okay, let's look at video overlay. Where does it put it?
By default, we decided we put it at the bottom left or bottom. Yeah, I don't know. I documented bottom right or bottom left. One of the corners. I don't think there is an ideal location.
I would have thought it was the top right corner. Isn't that the standard?
It might be.
Jeremy, do you have a comment on that?
It'd be bottom right for me. That's what I'd expect. Yeah, bottom right.
Bottom right.
Okay.
What fraction of the size, Jeremy?
Ooh, 1/4 maybe? No, it'd be smaller than that even.
What
Or
we
should
have
it be
implemented,
something where the size is a fixed size as the size of the main video changes, so to speak. All right, let us see the many, many critters here. Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
We haven't tested that much videos this big, but it seems like it's doing something sensible.
What size of videos would you be testing? I mean, did it downsample or did it? I mean,
No. This should be the full size of the data. So actually pretty big. I'll get back to you.
Is it scaling to get a time match or does it require the exact number of frames or time length?
no, it just puts frames. It does scale if the frame rates are different. It conforms that, but apart from that, it puts things at the same time, at the next to each other.
Okay.
And then if one is shorter, I don't know what we have decided to be the default. Either we stick empty for the remaining ones, or we end at the shortest time.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, this thing is slowing down. Look at this.
I noticed that as well. I was gonna say for the video GUI, we are still gonna have limitations as.
No, I don't think this is a GUI. Something is wrong. You should debug this. Something is wrong there. Especially as, yeah, look at this. This is really slow too.
So there was a memory leak that hopefully has been fixed, but I don't know what the prototype status is.
Okay, all right, fine. Turn on undocumented notebook frame rate option to see how slow it is. Okay. I don't know where that option is. It's undocumented and unknown to me. Okay, but video overlay, what we're saying is the default would be placed. No, that's crazy. Don't do that. Putting an extra option to placed?
No, that is in the main usage of place. We
Really?
actually prefer for it not to be there.
Yeah, we marked that as future, so that's not.
Really?
It is.
You mean all
not
these years
our addition.
I could have applied a function when I placed things?
You could have. If you click on that link, you'll see that those are the 3 usages that are documented.
Wowee, I had no idea. Okay, that's useful to know.
No, we asked Brett before using placed here.
Okay. All right, so these pictures aren't quite right because of the placement. You're saying bottom?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
And Jeremy, you should spec the size. And I don't know what in the aspect ratio, what's the aspect? Well, the aspect ratios are defined by the videos.
Yeah.
But this thing here will have its placement anchored, but then it's got some aspect ratio, and it probably needs some, if the thing is a weird shape, like for example, if it was a stripe at the bottom, it needs to handle its aspect ratio correctly. You see what I'm saying? Did you understand what I was saying? If you're trying to put a stripe at the bottom of this video as the overlay, right? Don't make the mistake of saying we're going to match heights and have the stripe be a crazy size. Did you understand?
We don't modify the, maybe I'm missing something. We don't modify the size. We just do placed of position bottom right or top right, comma top right, which will nicely align things, but will not change aspect ratios.
Yeah, the overlay is overlaid at the original size.
All right,
If
okay.
somebody wants it at a different
I
size,
should
they
then
have
do
to.
video resize.
Yep.
Is there a video resize?
There is going to be image resize. That's another discussion under video editing.
And
Oh,
video
but I
does have a
understand that.
raster
That's something
size
you're mapping
option.
across frame. How do you resize the whole video for this purpose?
You could reconstruct the video using the rasters, a different raster size value. You could
Yeah.
say video
You know
of
what?
v, comma.
There's got to be an easier way to decide how big the overlay is than reconstructing a video with 17 different options, right?
I actually, for video overlay, I actually agree. I think it's going to be very commonly wanted to specify the size.
I think so too.
Would style of magnification work?
I wouldn't do it that way. I would just say on this thing, you know, it's scaled, blah, blah, blah. That's the size.
Will that work in any point in place? No, right? That there is no space in place to have that specification.
That's correct. It's not placed. It would be instead saying that instead what you will be doing is more like, you know, scaled. You'd specify the rectangle basically. I mean, in other words, what I would do in video overlay is just give the rectangle. Yeah, and Ethan is asking about multiple video overlays.
Yeah, you can have a
Yes,
list
you
of
can have
those.
That's
right.
there.
Okay, so then the
Can-
question is, how would one give, so those can have place wrapped around them.
Correct. And they are independent, the placed as well. They are independent.
Yeah, I get that. But the issue is how to do the scaling for these things. Because placed is used to having scaleless objects. Well, I mean, obviously you could have an arrow, you know, from the overlay, you could have overlay blah, 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 or scaled arrow, and then that overlay. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Scroll down in the notebook. Another thing that might be interesting is to specify the time at which the overlay is inserted. So that rule syntax, at least in that note I proposed, as a time goes to overlay.
Well, so basically there's a space-time issue. I mean,
yes,
in principle, one could have the overlay at different times and different places on the screen.
correct.
Christina came back to ask a question. If you could go back to your notebook.
Yeah,
right
but
behind
hold
this
on a
one.
second.
Okay.
What about this position for the? Oh, I see. That's the position. Christina, yes. What would you like to ask?
Super quick. I noticed as I was leaving, it looks like there are 2 volume controls on the GUI. Is that what's
No, so
happening?
those were designed by Billy as the volume control and the device selection.
Device selection.
Yes.
Why is that? Oh,
It looks,
it
I've
looks like that looks like a mute button. That's weird.
They're both volume conventions, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's weird. And here, what's this one? Oh no!
Both.
Come on, guys. Come
That's
on.
both.
No.
I know.
You
We
lose.
know,
Well done,
Stephen.
Christina, well noticed. But-
No, we know. And I think we couldn't manage to get the 2 combined in a nice way, in a nicer way. I agree if we can do it in a combined way, that's the
Right, well,
more
this is
correct
the
way
right
of doing this.
This is the way, right? This one here has that exact thing. That has the combined volume control. So this here, on the other hand, for videos, people usually have the mute button, right?
Yes.
There's some work to do here. Why don't you guys work with Christina and others and try and iterate this a bit? Let's not get this wrong.
Sure.
Okay, this looks, I mean, these are rather straightforward, superficial things relative to all the very complicated stuff that's already been done. Let's not get this wrong.
Yeah, I don't remember the details, but I think that's exactly what we aimed for, and we couldn't get it straight. Carlo, you may remember.
Well, no, I mean, this came out of two issues. The first one was that the weird double attached cell that you see at the bottom is what prevents magnification from working properly.
Okay, guys, there are a bunch of technical issues. We don't have the right people here. Why don't you go address them and not end up with something where we have inconsistent icons in two different places, meaning two different things. Okay. And if you need to come back for this version and get some sort of hack design invented, then do that. But why don't we try and see what we think the final design will be, and then we'll hack back if something is necessary for this version.
Okay.
Okay, meanwhile,
Okay, bye again.
okay,
Thank you.
Thanks. Stacking GIFs with transparency, Ethan is asking about. What happens if you want a watermark on the video, if you want an overlaid watermark?
That's fine.
We
do not. Oh, sorry. That was in one of the previous iterations. The transparency got dropped. It is possible in the back end, but it is not exposed.
Okay, but so there's some design issues here because there's a bunch of features here, which, I mean, this video overlay concept is a good concept, but okay, so I'm assuming that in terms of frame rates and so on, you're just dealing with that. The frame rates will conform.
They will do something sensible.
Right. Okay. Wait a minute, what's this chroma keyed or background subtracted video layers? What's that about?
It's a way to combine different ways to combine images.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. All right, fine. But the things we got to solve then is the space-time. So one question is, does the overlay video have the same time base, so to speak, as the main video? Or is it somehow offset like a sound note?
So with this design, they should cover exactly the same. There should be no offset, right? Because the video does not
necessarily right, because I mean, you might want something where there's an overlay that comes up saying, you know,
and
warning,
that's the design that is in the futurized cells, slightly lower. That
I understand, but so we're going to need to. Okay, we're not solving this yet. This still needs more iteration. Okay, we've still got quite a bit to do here. I just want to look with Jeremy just for a minute at what did we come up with here? This was not the name we ended up. By the way,
video?
As a procedural thing, when we come back and do a replay of one of these design reviews, please can you edit the notebook to reflect what we've already figured out?
Like
Roger?
check marks or something?
No, I mean not that, but I mean things we've changed in the design, right, Roger?
Sure.
Okay, what did we change this to last time?
Snippets video.
Okay. Okay, so now graphics to a video is a very interesting concept.
Summary video as well. We discussed some things that you might want to look at the ref page for it based on what we discussed last time.
Which is now called snippets video.
Snippets video. No, it's still called summary video in CVS. So see that second argument spec and all the string uniform random scene change as a way of specifying where to pick from.
By the way, it's either scene changes or scene change.
Yes, that's
scene
it.
Changes, plural.
Sounds good.
So are scenes in the metadata of the video sometimes? Where do you get that information from?
This is something that's discovered by analyzing the video. We don't.
Ah, nice. Okay.
Okay, so I think that it needs a little bit of testing before we are sort of confident in it and stuff.
Do you really want to call it scene changes? Because it might be some other dramatic, you know, an explosion happens. Is that a scene change? And, you know, the whole screen turns orange or something. That's, you would pick that up with the machine learning stuff, but it isn't a quote scene change. Does that make sense? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do understand what you say.
Okay.
What we
So-
are planning to implement here is, as you guessed, a dramatic change in scene,
I
not
get it.
necessarily
I get it.
a
So
scene
the question
change.
is that adequately called a scene change, even when it might not be stage direction, you know, now showing the person in the getaway car or something? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's not necessarily a scene change in that sense, unless in that business, scene
Salient
change has
moments?
come to mean dramatic change of video. Do you
Maybe
understand the point?
Yeah, salient moments, even though that might be over-promising a bit.
No,
That might be a
that's
different
way
thing.
too.
But I
mean,
also
it
think
could
that the
be
people that
changes.
understand salient,
Yeah, it's hopeless.
How about just change
Yeah,
or
that's what I'm
changes?
thinking. Changes.
Yeah. Yep. And also an additional argument that can take is a scale parameter that says how much change is assumed to be a change.
I think we really need to test this before I kind of trust
Yeah.
this. I just
But
think
also the
it can
parts
be
of
really
speech aren't
stupid.
right. Uniform, random. I see. It's really at changes. Uniform, at random, at changes. Random. Wait a minute. Changes. I see. This is where the timestamps are, which is what you should say, because every one of these says timestamps, right? So this
Yes.
is really what this should say instead of spec is basically timestamps or something. Times. Right?
Yeah, probably should, even if there are many ways of doing it indirectly.
Right. But so this is times, and this is saying, yeah, that's fine. So it's changes. Right. Okay. Yeah, Ethan is commenting, basically saying we should be able to get a timeline plot out of a video. If we can do the changes thing, we should be able to do a timeline plot of the video, which is true. We should be able to get video frame list. In addition to summary video frame list should be able to take changes. As
Yep.
Yeah,
Bring up that page.
has already been updated.
Okay. What is a keyframe? As opposed to a scene change.
Keyframes, it seems to be stuff that people, when they're compositing videos, they just mark some frames as
I mean, I know
keyframes. It
what
really
is.
doesn't
I
seem
know what
to
it is
have
going in. I just don't know how you recognize it coming out.
there is a flag at every frame that we can read.
So
I see.
I think
It's in
this
the
depends
metadata.
on the compression that is used. It's like in the keyframes, full image is stirred, and then just for the next n images, only the changes are stirred.
Okay,
So that's purely a compression thing. That doesn't seem super useful.
No, I think it really depends on the video, but in general, yeah, I would not expect.
I think
to be
let's change this
particularly
to
interesting.
changes, guys. This makes sense for video frame list at changes, so to speak. Okay, very quickly, just for a minute here, because this is going to require a separate discussion. Video tour.
Unfortunately, the output is completely unintuitive what's going on.
I'm sorry?
But we're discussing just earlier with Shadi how to make these examples so you could understand what is actually in the video rather than displaying 3 frames that are completely static. Unrelated to the function, sorry.
Okay, all right. But so, okay, so, that's a dead animal.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Has to be because of this asset problem. But the discussion Carlo and I had, which he mentioned, is to have animated image applied to all of these videos. And then basically a mini version of that video is going to be stored in the notebooks.
Yeah, it looks like the prototype has some issues with our backend. Sorry.
By the way, Bob is commenting that keyframes can be decoded without looking at surrounding frames, which is useful. Just from that. So this is dead. Is that what you're telling me? This
I think all video functionality might be dead because of backend upgrades in prototype.
I'm sorry, what?
Abort this as soon as it's not killing your Mathematica, if you can. Might already be late.
We were doing other videos, but you're saying graphics to a video is not functioning.
This one, yeah, this one made mine hang as well.
Okay, but Jeremy, what this is, have you seen this before at all?
I
Jeremy?
haven't, no. I can kind of guess what it is.
Right.
Is it following a path? Is it following these points?
Do you
It
want to
is.
let Carlo demo that?
Is it linear?
Yeah.
It is linear.
Carlo, do you want a demo?
You could change
Carlo,
the
do you want a
interpolation setting.
demo?
Yeah,
We're
give me a
running
second
We're really
to
out of
open up.
time here, so go ahead.
Okay.
Go for it.